Autism or autism spectrum disorder refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech and nonverbal communication. According to the Centers for Disease Control, autism affects an estimated 1 in 54 children in the United States today. There is no one gene that, when mutated, causes autism. But over the past decade, researchers have identified hundreds of gene variations that seem to affect brain development in ways that increase the risk of autism. However, these scientists mainly searched for variants in the DNA that directly encodes the building blocks of proteins. Now, a new study probing so-called non-coding DNA has found that alterations in regions that regulate gene activity may also contribute to autism. And surprisingly, these variations tended to be inherited from fathers who aren't autistic. The research team was especially interested in the parts of non-coding DNA that regulate gene expression. They looked at whole genome sequences from 829 families that included autistic individuals, their non-autistic siblings, and their parents. Assessing the influence of individual DNA-based changes is particularly difficult in non-coding regions, so they instead identified bigger alterations, so-called structural variants, in which large sequences of DNA are inverted, duplicated, or deleted. The scientists then examined whether structural variants in these regions were associated with autism by examining the pattern of transmission from parents to their autistic and non-autistic children. Researchers have assumed that mothers are more likely to pass on autism-promoting gene variants. That's because the rate of autism in women is much lower than that in men, and it is thought that women can carry the same genetic risk factors without having any signs of autism. But when a mother passes these genes to her sons, they are not protected in the same way and thus will be affected. The team found that mothers passed only half of their structural variants onto their autistic children, a frequency that would be expected by chance alone, suggesting that variants inherited from mothers were not associated with autism. But surprisingly, fathers did pass on substantially more than 50% of their variants. This suggests that autistic children might have inherited risk variants in regulatory regions from their fathers but not their mothers, the researchers report today in Science. To check that this result held up, the team then tested a second, larger sample of 1771 families. Once again, autistic children received more structural variants from their fathers but not mothers, though the size of the effect wasn't quite as large in this second sample. Based on these results, the team proposes a more complex model of how autism arises, in which mothers pass on mutations affecting coding regions, which have large effects that women are protected from, while fathers pass on variants affecting non-coding regions. Their effects are much more moderate and may only cause symptoms when combined with risk variants from mothers.